Hi, what's up, you guys? This is your boy Jay Scott, and this is my co-host Brandon the Singer. Tonight we're here to do a Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 13 mid-season review. We're going to be reviewing episodes 1-7 tonight. Instead of just coming back to you guys week after week, giving you updates on each episode, we just wanted to give our input on what's happening right now. I can say we are really kind of slow on reviewing this season simply because it's been slow. It has not been a real interesting season for us to just really be keeping up with. But I mean, thus far things have been okay, but fairly slow for the most part. What you think?
Everybody is pretty much in agreement. There's a consensus. The season has been dry. I'll give them somewhat of a pass because they were filming at the beginning of when COVID-19 hit.
True.
A lot of things were shut down, but also we're kind of missing some of the dynamic personalities that make the show interesting.
Right. And as we all know, Nene Leakes is no longer a part of the franchise, so which is very obvious. It's a little weird. That's a really touchy situation, but at the same time, I'm kind of okay with her not being here just because I didn't want her to come back on the show and everybody constantly and still arguing with Nene Leakes. Like, you know, they left, you know, off on the reunion last year with them into it with her. And I didn't want her to be their storyline the entire time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a lot when it came to that.
Well, what Nene brought to the show and what's missing is the humor. No one on the show currently is really bringing that comic relief or the funny comments in their solo camera interviews. So that's kind of what's missing this season.
In my personal opinion, I do feel like Bravo is trying to bring in a younger, a more youthful group of girls. I can see them phasing out some of the older women, bringing them in with new girls like Drew Sidora, Latoya, and Fallon. All of these girls range about 31, 32, 33, fairly young girls. Portia is probably one of the youngest castmates on there, and Portia's about 38, 39.
Yeah.
And she's older than those girls. But yeah, so speaking of new castmates, what do you think about the new castmate Drew Sidora? Who is Drew Sidora?
I remember Drew Sidora from the game, of course. Everybody says, oh, she took Derwin from Melanie, so that's what everybody remembers. Also from the TLC movie playing T-Boz. I like Drew. I think she's cool. I'm still waiting to see what she's going to bring to the show.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, I don't really know her like that. I don't really know what she played on. I do remember her from the game and TLC, but other than that, I don't really know Drew like that. But I feel like her and her husband has a very interesting storyline. Kind of reminds me of Kenya Moore's storyline with Mark Daly. You know, I don't understand where they get these egotistical male counterparts from, but you know, us as the consumers, we can see right through the bullshit. So, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Marlo, she is still a part of the show. I'm really proud of her. She has solidified her spot on the show. She does not need Nene Leakes as a friend. Keep her on the show. And I'm really happy about that she has developed other friendships with the other girls. Like, I'm really excited about that because Marlo is a lot of fun, honestly. Like, I really enjoy Marlo being on the show. What do you think?
Well, I feel like after she fell out with Nene the first time, she probably, you know, thought, okay, I need to make sure I'm good with some of these other women so I can remain on the show, because Nene was her link to the show from the beginning. So, you know, if she fell out with Nene again and she was only cool with Nene, then her time on the show would have ended.
Right.
So, you know, now Nene's not there, but they still brought Marlo back because she did establish those relationships. So I thought, you know, she smartened up when it came to that.
Right. And she was getting into it with a few people. She got into it with Cynthia a few times. She got into it with Portia. So, you know, for her to mend those relationships and actually make it work out in her favor, I'm really happy and proud of that. Kenya Moore, trash, pure trash. You know, it is what it is. I feel like she is fishing for a storyline. She really has no friends on there. She brought a new girl named LaToya onto the show. I don't know how to really feel about LaToya. I really do think she's doing a whole lot. You know, I'm not really feeling LaToya like that. I feel like she's doing a lot.
LaToya definitely is trying to make a mark, to make a name on the show. It's somewhat working because she's being talked about for doing too much.
Right.
So I suppose as long as they're talking, no matter what they're saying, then she's doing her job, but she is doing a whole lot. So
she's doing a lot. Just like at the engagement party, at the surprise engagement party, I just feel like it was inappropriate for her to show, you know, Kenya Moore's nudes, especially when you got other women and their husbands there at the table. And I thought she was rude to Portia's friend Fallon. Fallon clearly told her that she didn't date her husband is the first older man that she's ever dated, and you know, she just like, well, you look like the type, you know, you look like a young girl that dates older men with money. And I thought that was kind of shady. And then when she was at Cynthia's house and she was talking about Drew Sidora's wig, you know, they've actually been having a little back and forth beef online as well. So that's going to be interesting to play out. Marlo trying to warn you, girl. Look, stay clear, because Kenya ain't doing nothing but setting you up.
Well, I feel like LaToya is a junior Kenya. You know, I'm not too mad at Kenya's and LaToya's antics so far, because if they weren't doing anything, what would there really be to talk about besides Drew and Ralph?
And Cynthia and Mike.
I mean, but Cynthia and Mike, I mean, we know how the story ends. We all know they got married, so we know they got married on that date, so it's really not anything that's super interesting.
Right.
So it seems like Kenya and LaToya are trying to make it interesting because there's nothing organic that's really happening with this cast that is interesting. So they have to kind of like drum up some interest. So I'm not too mad at LaToya and Kenya for at least trying. It's just in past seasons, the women all had so much going on and were dynamic. It just was natural. No one had to really put on for the camera. But I feel like that's what they're doing this season. But again, they're trying to create a show, I guess.
Right. And I've been noticing like a lot of this lesbian thing that comes up with the cast has really been kind of like, I don't know if they try to use the LGBT community for clout, or they try to use sexuality as a way for ratings or a way to market, but I don't really like that. You know, you guys are heterosexual women with husbands and children, so I don't even know why y'all even try to get on TV and play the lesbian card, like, ooh, and all of that. Like, do you feel like the producers tried Candy when they asked, would you be upset if her and if LaToya and Ken hooked up? I thought that was kind of like weird.
Well, I just feel like in general, women can be more free with their sexuality, and they're not judged as much as men. And I feel like sexuality is on a scale, so some of the women probably do have feelings for other women or have had experiences, so I can't say that they're playing it up for TV. It's possible, but there have been things throughout the seasons that made me think, okay, you know, they might like women, but that's not how they identify. They don't identify as lesbians, but they may have had experiences. So, you know, I can't say that it's not genuine from them. It might just be another aspect that they're ready to show. At this time, it is what it is, as long as they're not being disrespectful with it.
Like the Candy and Portia situation.
Yeah,
it went overboard.
As long as they're not trying to make it a negative thing, then it's like it is what it is.
But you know what? The funny thing about it is, you mentioned something like, you know, to the effect of them being like lesbians earlier on, and it was so funny. Like when we was watching that particular episode, that part came.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was just crazy. So I want to talk about Kenya Moore's and Portia's friendship. In my opinion, they don't like each other. They've never liked each other. They're like oil and water. They just don't mix well together. You know, they are made to do what they're supposed to do. I feel like it's a bit shady for Kenya to say that Portia's Black Lives Matter movement is not genuine and she's only using the opportunity for a photo op. I think that's a bit shady, just simply because had she just been on the show, you know, going back and forth with women and not talking about anything important, you know, everybody would have literally tried to drag her, and they would have, you know, said that she's not using her platform for the best abilities that she possibly can. So now that she's actually using her platform to stand up for something, you know, important like Breonna Taylor and Black Lives Matter, you know, Kenya is pretty much saying that it's a photo op, and I think that's a bit shady. And she also had the nerve to be upset because Portia's sister, Lauren, uninvited her to the thank you party that they threw for Portia. I think that was only right, because if you have all these different feelings about this girl and you think that her movement and the way she's acting isn't genuine, why would you even want to be a part of a celebrations for, you know, her going to jail and all these other things? Because, I mean, believe it or not, I would be out there on the front line, but I don't know if somebody will get me out of jail. So I don't got time. I'm rooting behind the scenes. You know, everybody isn't made to be out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
I think like the average black person is going to feel like Black Lives Matter. It's just a natural thing. So right. I feel like unless you're a self-hating black person, you're going to feel like Black Lives Matter. So yeah, I do believe that Portia is genuine when she says it, and she's genuine in what she's doing.
Right.
I don't think it's a bad thing if she thought, yeah, I'm going to make this a part of my storyline to bring awareness to the issue. I mean, that's, you know, part of what being a celebrity should be about, is bringing important issues to the forefront and trying to make a difference. So if was she supposed to do it in private? Like, what is, you know, what was that going to accomplish if you're like Black Lives Matter on the low? So yeah, if it's a storyline, so what? You know, she feels like Black Lives Matter. She's a black woman. She has a black man, a black child, black family. So of course she feels like Black Lives Matter. So I just feel like it's out of line to say that she's using it for a storyline. Like, she doesn't really feel like Black Lives Matter.
Now, I will say Portia is a little airheaded sometimes when it comes to, you know, those type of issues. But at the same time, I, you know, do feel that she's coming from a great place, especially, you know, defending Breonna Taylor, you know, an innocent black woman that was killed in her home. So, I mean, what other platform? I mean, Bravo's Housewives franchise is pretty popular. So, you know, I think she's doing the right thing, you know, when it comes to that. So another topic that we are going to get into is Candy. Riley. Riley is all grown up. She's headed off to college. She's looking a little different. You know, she got a nose job. Kudos to her. I think she was a beautiful girl before, but, you know, everybody has their own reasons why they do certain things for certain reasons. So, you know, if they got the money to do it, more power to her.
Yeah, I was surprised that she got it done, I believe, when she was 17. So I was surprised by that. I do think Riley was a beautiful girl before. She looked perfectly fine.
Right.
There was nothing wrong with the nose she had, but apparently she felt that it was, so that's why she made the change, and hopefully she's happy with it. Most likely, I'm sure it was a family decision. It was a discussion about it, and that's what they decided to do. So hopefully she's happy with her decision. And that's all I'll say about it.
I think that's a pretty popular thing amongst celebrity children. Regina Carter, she got a boob job. So I think it's just pretty common being a celebrity kid to just get something done. You just got to get something done.
It's a bit different when you're legally an adult versus when you're
a minor.
So it's a bit different, but that was Candy's and Riley's and the family decision, and they're the ones that have to deal with the outcome of it, the consequences. So if they're happy, then that's all that matters.
Right. Riley's father owes Candy back pay child support, and I guess they are going back and forth about him paying them. Do you think he should pay?
I definitely think he should pay. I think that when you lay down in the bed and create a child, when you have sex, the outcome can be a child.
Right.
And when you have a child, the right thing to do is to step up to the plate and be a parent and contribute to the rearing of the child and contribute financially.
Right. And although Candy has money and she's been able to financially support Riley all of her life, I still does not believe that Candy money should make up for him not doing his part as a father. So, at this particular point, Riley is grown, so she like, I need my money.
Right. If you're not going to contribute by being there emotionally, you should at least contribute financially, that he has a court order to pay child support. That's what he owes. It doesn't matter that she can take care of the child by herself. Two people made the child. Two people need to contribute to the child financially, and that's just what it is.
Right.
Because he shouldn't get off scot-free.
True.
You created her.
Right.
So you need to be responsible and contribute.
Right. And Ace and Blaze, they are beautiful children. They're growing very fast. For Blaze to have a surrogate mother, she looks exactly like Candy.
She's Candy's twin.
Right, yeah. Like all day long. Like she looks exactly like Candy. She looks just like Candy. So, other than that, Candy, she's per usual, getting to the bag, doing what she's supposed to do. And shout out to Candy. It's Drew Sidora and her husband, Ralph. They have the most toxic type relationship that I've seen. The closest to Kenya's and Mark Daly's relationship. They have a pretty toxic relationship. I feel like Ralph has a typical male ego. I feel like he is very disrespectful. He's an asshole just all the way around. Like it ain't really no other way to put what his demeanor gives. He gives asshole like 110%. And I thought it was a little funny. It kind of touched me in a weird way when she said that she doesn't feel like Ralph shows her firstborn son genuine love. And I'm like, when a woman has to ask a man to show her child genuine love, it's a problem having to ask, her husband, who has 2 other children with her, to teach him, and show him, manly affection. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I wonder what type of conversations Drew and Ralph had before they decided to get together, because it just seems like some of the issues they're having, they seem to be surprising to Drew.
Right.
So I just wonder how well they knew each other before they decided to get together, because that's a conversation you should have if you have a child. Like, how do you feel about me having a child? Like, how are we going to move forward with our family? And, those are things that should have been discussed. It doesn't seem like they were discussed. So
right. I'm going to be honest. I can really see him beating her. I know that's a bit tough, and I know that's a lot to say, but at the same time, I can really see him putting his hands on Drew if he hadn't already. And that's just my observation. Because that ego, that male ego he has, is out of this world. For a man to leave for 3 days without contacting his family, letting them know where he is and that he done went off to Florida, do you think he's cheating on her?
I mean, that's the first thing that's probably going to come to anybody's mind when a man just leaves for 3 days and doesn't let her know where he is. He went to another state. Right, he did say he went to Florida. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you went to another state and didn't tell your family where you're going. The obvious conclusion is that, okay, are you with another person? The fact that he's been so secretive and wouldn't tell her where he was until he was on camera, is very weird and odd. So yeah, the first thing that's going to come to somebody's mind is somebody's cheating. I feel like Drew needs to get more of a backbone, because there's no way that I would be able to just act like everything is normal and go back to normal without an explanation as soon as I was in contact with my significant other.
Right.
So I feel like she definitely needs to get a backbone, and all I can hope is that he's seeing himself on camera. He's seeing how he operates. He's getting the backlash, and hopefully this will make him change for the better, because I don't think anybody wants to see a family break up, but their relationship is very toxic as far as what's on the show at this point.
Even when they were sitting down with the counselor, she asked him, Ralph, what do you feel like you want out of this relationship? He said respect and sex. And I'm just like, really? That's all you got? And, I feel like he was very patronizing to her. He was like, you about to cry. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, that was weird to me. Like, she had to really swallow her pride. And, when she mentioned that she has to, seek counseling as an individual, I can see that, because I can see him being so headstrong over her, and by her just wanting to be a good woman and just to keep the peace between her and her husband, she swallowed her pride a lot as an individual. And honestly, I believe her mother kind of takes up for her a lot. That's the reason why her mother is in the household. I hear her mama got stuck there during COVID or whatever the case may be. Although I don't think it's right for her mom to be a part of their marriage and their marriage issues.
She shouldn't be. No, that's just inappropriate. The mother should not be in their relationship to that extent.
Right.
I believe the relationship, the problems, and it needs to stay between them, because when you're venting to your mother, they're getting a negative impression, but you're still with them, and then you're staying together and working it out, and then you feeling like, okay, everything's good, but then the people you're telling about your relationship, they're still, feeling some type of way about what has gone on. So I just think, keep your business to yourself.
Right.
I do think therapy is the best way to work it out. That's who you should be talking to, not your mother.
Right.
Talk to a therapist and see if you can work the relationship out, and hopefully you can. And if you can't, then you need to separate. But the relationship is not working at this point.
And I know by Drew being her child, she's gonna always defend her, to the utmost, power. I know she's gonna defend her. So, by her just being a mother and watching her daughter be slick mentally abused, in a sense, because that's what I look at it as. It's mental abuse, because it's just like, even when they were preparing for the house, she wanted it to be an equal thing, and he was like, let me worry about the paperwork, you just pack. And I'm like, I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
It's like anything that's affecting her and the family, there needs to be a discussion. And she sort of just kind of cowered in that moment, and really didn't push the issue. But they have serious communication issues in the relationship, and I do feel like she lets things go to keep the peace and lets him get his way, and people are going to do what you let them get away with.
Right.
So she needs to speak her mind and stand up and see if the relationship can withstand her having a voice, because it seems like she doesn't have a voice in the relationship.
Right. She's pretty much being bullied by her husband. And it's congratulations to Cynthia and Mike Hill on their engagement. I'm so happy for Cynthia because it's been a long time coming, especially with her messy divorce with Peter Thomas. It's been, last time I checked, Cynthia was like, I didn't want love anymore. So now that she has finally found love once again with Mike Hill, I'm really happy. Mike seems like a really nice guy and he's genuine. They've definitely made it very clear that 10-10-20 is the special date. She has said it on every episode. They even got, hashtag chill. When it comes to the wedding planning and all of this other good stuff, I'm not really feeling the way she's acting. She's giving me Bridezilla vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's giving me hell on wheels right now. Because it's just like, she wants everything to be so perfect, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? We this COVID is going on, and to me, I feel like, she was being a little selfish because she wasn't really trying to hear him out. And to me, it's supposed to be our wedding. You know what I'm saying? Not just what you want and how you want it. If 10-10-20 is the date, 10-10-20 is the date, and that's just really what it is. But I don't think she should change the date because of COVID. Hell, he was ready to marry her at the courthouse, So how do you feel about that?
Typically, weddings are about the bride. Stereotypically, you'll see the groom saying, I'm just going to show up, and then the woman does all of the planning. So in this scenario, it's the same, nothing different. And I just feel like I understand where Cynthia's coming from. She wants her day to be how she wants her day. And if it can't be the way she wants it, then she is like, I want to postpone it until it can be perfect. Because in her mind, this is going to be her last wedding. She's with the man that she wants to be with forever. So she just wants this wedding and this day to be special and what she wants it to be, so she can have that memory for the rest of her life. So I understand where she's coming from. I also understand that Mike Hill is saying, if you want to marry me, it shouldn't matter when, how, where, because it's like you want to be with me. So it should be like, however we do it, then we're married. That's in his mind. In her mind, it's like, I want the fairy tale. I love you and want to be married to you, but I want the fairy tale as well. I want it all. So I see where both are coming from. I don't think it's a right or a wrong.
After really kind of looking at it, her first marriage was horrible. Like, it was horrible. Her folks hid her marriage license. They didn't really care for Peter. Supposedly they were broke.
It was just like a struggle to get to the wedding. A lot of drama leading up to it. It wasn't the right person. Obviously, they're not together. So it was a lot, and she wants to redo.
Her mother is a bit manipulative because, she said that she didn't know what a PSA meeting was. Well, you know what? Before I jump to that, go back to why Cynthia needed to talk to her mom. So Cynthia is having, mixed feelings about inviting her father to her wedding on behalf of her mother. And I think that's a real awkward position to be put in, because your wedding is supposed to be about you and your significant other versus, your parents. And I feel like Cynthia wanted to talk to her mom about it because she is fairly close to her mom. And I got a feeling that Cynthia wanted to invite her father to her wedding. Like, I think it's every woman's fairy tale to have their father to walk them down the aisle to give them the way to the husband of their dreams. And although Cynthia may not have the closest relationship with her father, like Mal said, that's still her father, and they don't hate him. They may not be as close. So I guess Cynthia mom, she brought up the PSA that happened about 3 years ago.
She said she wasn't sure what a PSA was, or she didn't know,
Right.
even though there were cameras there to record everything.
Right.
In her mind, or what she was trying to say on the show, is that she didn't realize that it was going to be put out to the public. What did you think was going to happen with cameras around? But I understand Cynthia's feelings. She wants to consider her mother's feelings when it comes to inviting the father to the wedding. But it's her day. She should have who she wants there. She's the child. She didn't ask to be born. She shouldn't be in the position where someone is forcing her to choose. So ultimately, I think Miss Barbara should have said, you know what? This is your day. If you want him there, you should have him there. I don't think she should have tried to guilt trip Cynthia. I don't think the daughter should have tried to guilt trip Cynthia. That's her father.
Right. At the end of the day. And then, she brought Noelle along to kind of back her up, but Noelle switched sides. Noelle completely switched on her.
She flipped. She did a 180. She flipped on her mother. Her mother had brought her there to back her up, and she went with her grandmother's side, which, she can have her opinion, but ultimately, I don't know if she has enough life experience and wisdom to be able to advise Cynthia on this matter. So she probably should not have had any input in the situation, and it looks like from the show that her input was the deciding factor. It probably shouldn't have been.
Although the relationship was probably strained between the mother and father, Cynthia did mention that she used to spend the summers with him. So, they still had their own private, individual quality time.
Right.
So they know each other. So regardless of what, he's still the father, and I feel like he deserves to be a part of her wedding, despite what her mother feels.
Right.
So,
the mother should have just stepped up and said, "Don't worry about me. This is your day." That's what should have happened, in my opinion.
Right. Versus throwing out a guilt trip.
Yes.
I thought that was foul.
The ladies are getting ready to go to South Carolina?
Yeah.
To the beach.
Yeah.
And Kenya has decided that she wants to take a private jet with just her and LaToya. And
Shady.
and then she tells Drew, well, don't tell the other ladies. So I'm curious as to why she cared if they knew or not,
right.
Or did she want it to be a surprise and be shady, or I don't know what the motivation was, but okay. And I think around that time we see another blurred out shot of Brooklyn, so it's obvious that Mark has not signed off on Brooklyn to appear on television, and it's so confusing because Kenya has claimed that they're in a good place and they've reconciled with, throughout the last year or whatever.
He has really a lot of control,
right?
Without even being on the show. It's very confusing.
But if they reconciled, or if they're working on it, or if they're in a good place, then why wouldn't he sign off on Brooklyn being on the show? That's part of the appeal of you being on the show, is being able to show your life and your family. And Brooklyn's the adorable little girl. Nothing's going to happen because she's on camera. She was on camera all last season, and what happened? Nothing regarding with her daughter.
Well, Mark is an asshole. So that's just really what we're going to get from him, behind the scenes. Mark Daly is a real, true asshole to the core, because now Brooklyn can't be shown on television when she's been on television since she was born. So now it's a problem. 7 episodes in, the season is starting to kind of pick up a little bit more so than what it's been giving. Based off of what we saw tonight, next week is going to be a little bit more, arguing, a little bit more, drama. At the dinner tonight, Portia spared no love for LaToya. She told Drew exactly what LaToya was at the dinner table saying, which she should. And Kenya, did you catch that shade?
Right, no, I feel like, I think Drew or Portia just wanted to let Drew know what's going on. It seems like Portia may be a bit of a bone collector this season, but she definitely wanted to let Drew know what was happening, because I think she feels like it's unnecessary what LaToya was saying about her. So, you know, she definitely let her know. And when it definitely was shady when she shaded Kenya to her face when Drew's wig was mentioned, and Drew mentioned, like, look at what Kenya has on today. You know, people do what they can. And it definitely was shady. Kenya caught it. But it was really smooth how Drew threw that in there. So she definitely has potential as a housewife.
Right. And I just thought, you know, the cameras are just so sneaky cameras. I really feel like when Drew's husband was around, they was just really creating a lot of sexual tension. I don't know if it was it me? Was it just me thinking that, or was you kind of feeling like they was just trying to catch one of their reactions to how they was going to react to their man? Because I had caught when, you know, Candy or Portia had said, yeah, Portia stays right around the corner. This will conclude our review for Real Housewives Season 13, mid-season review. You know, we don't know how many episodes it's going to be this season.
You want to look out for more reviews.